All right, welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. James is here. So we want to get to a story that we've been following, and we had Jesse Pierre on talking regarding the mental health aspect of things and filling the gap regarding the story. Iryna Zarutska, who was stabbed to death while riding the Blue Line in Charlotte's South End last month. Now, that attack has sparked discussion about safety on public transit. The man who is caught on video accused in her killing, DeCarlos Brown, is facing first-degree murder in connection with the killing of Iryna Zarutska on August 22nd. So we've been covering the story, following the story, and we're able to find that Brown had 14 previous court cases within Mecklenburg County, and we wanted to dig more into that. So right now, Live Impact News, we have a professor of criminal justice at App State University, Dr. Matthew Robingson, here on the program. Dr. Robingson, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. I wish it was under better circumstances, obviously.
Yeah, I guess let's start there. The video of the attack has been all over social media this weekend. It was released on Friday, been all over social media, and a lot of questions surrounding the man in the video, DeCarlos Brown. And I read there are 14 cases within Mecklenburg County, and a big question I certainly got from friends and other people: how's this possible?
That's a great question. And, when these things happen, that's what we inevitably ask. When someone has a long criminal record, we think that they should be, off the streets, ideally for good, if necessary. But there's lots of potential answers. We'd have to look into the case specifically to figure out what he was charged with, how the cases were disposed of. There may be cases of plea bargaining where charges were filed down. There may be cases where cases were dismissed even though he was charged. So we'd have to look at all of those facts in order to really know what was going on. But it's always really unfortunate when someone who has a long criminal record is out to harm other people.
Another question I got was, I guess, and again, it's hard to ask this question, but I have to ask it. But who is at fault? Who is to blame? Is it the justice system, or does this fall at the feet of city leaders?
Well, I wouldn't blame anyone other than the offender at this time. Until all the facts come out. But sometimes there'll be, what we would see as, or we would view as negligence on the part of the criminal justice system, actors working in the criminal justice system. There may be that cases that should have been that should have led to convictions did not, due to actions and decisions of policymakers and prosecutors' offices and things like that. But we just don't know enough about it at this point to say that for sure.
Yeah, and again, a tough question to ask, but it's a question that a lot of folks have had, and certainly I've gotten. Can you walk me through sort of the coordination between, when it comes to repeat offenders, law enforcement, the coordination between law enforcement, the courts, and mental health services? Can you walk me through that?
Sure. So, first of all, when a case goes to the courts, when someone's been arrested and charged, law enforcement always cooperates with the courts, where they send officers to testify in terms of what they saw at a scene or what kinds of evidence they collected and that sort of thing. Mental health facilities would also be called in, particularly if someone has a history of mental health crisis or mental illness, a diagnosis. Then mental health professionals who work those cases would also be called in and coordinate with the courts as well as law enforcement. And then, of course, mental health and law enforcement works together. When there's a call of a dangerous person, they often work hand in hand to try to figure out how to help the person or get them off the streets if necessary for public safety.
Does public outcry, when it comes to, I guess when we look forward, do you think that will factor into future cases?
It often does. Prosecutor offices will make the best decision they think is justified based on the evidence first. The amount of evidence and the quality of evidence is the best determinant of what happens in a criminal case going forward. But public outcry and what victims, friends, and families demand also often plays the role in decision making by prosecutors as well.
Again, this is Dr. Matthew Robingson with App State University, professor of criminal justice. You've been so generous with your time. My last question before I get you out of here: what would you want to see happen moving forward when it comes to? Look, North Carolina. There have been initiatives, and they're from the state level and also from local organizations to help repeat offenders. But what would you like to see happen when it comes to the justice system to aid that?
Ideally, the justice system will use evidence-based policies. There are things that we know work to deal with repeat offenders. There are things that we know work to deal with violent offenders. There are things that we know work to deal with mentally ill offenders. And these programs and policies have been summarized by websites such as crimesolutions.gov, which is a Department of Justice website. And so we know, what works to reduce these types of crimes. And so ideally, law enforcement agencies, for example, should review these policies and programs, which are, again, publicly available, and start to implement them at the local level. So we should see these policies in every city in America, as well as at state level. So that's ideally what I would like to see happen, is that these policies that have been carefully researched by researchers all over the country and documented to show effectiveness should be utilized in places like Charlotte to make sure these kinds of crimes are less likely to happen going forward.
Just a quick follow-up. That seems pretty simple, and it seems logical. Why, again, from your vantage point, do we continue to have this conversation and something like that hasn't been implemented?
Part of it is, these policies and programs may not be known about by law enforcement officials. So this is the job of people like me, academics, to bring this research forward to policymakers at the city and state level, for example, to let them know about these programs and policies so that they can be put into place. And that's one of the things I'm working on now, is summarizing this research for the public and for policymakers in order to bring it to them so that we can implement these types of programs and policies within law enforcement that are shown to work.
Dr. Matthew Robingson, criminal justice professor at Appalachian State University. Thank you for your time. Again, you answered a lot of questions that folks have having over the weekend. A lot of folks are upset after seeing this video, and again, had a lot of questions. So thank you for your time, for clearing up and giving some context on this situation.